need you to sit down for this one. Ancient Egypt mummified more cats than pharaohs. Millions more. We're talking tens of millions of cat mummies. An entire industry built around it. You could be executed for killing one, and a lot of the mummies weren't even real cats. Let's go back 3,000 years and find out how this got so out of hand. It didn't start with worship. It started with grain. Egyptian farmers needed something to guard their stored grain from rats and snakes. Cats were perfect for the job, and they basically hired themselves. Protect the food supply of an entire civilization, and people start treating you differently. Over centuries, that gratitude turned into full-blown religion. Meet Bastet, goddess of protection, love, and home. And every cat was believed to carry a piece of her power. Households believed a cat living with them brought good luck and divine favor. From pest control to divine ambassador, that's quite the promotion. And that reverence wasn't just a nice feeling. It became law. Killing a cat in ancient Egypt, even by accident, could be punished by death. Around 60 BC, a Roman visitor accidentally ran over a cat with his chariot. A mob formed almost instantly. Not a small crowd. An entire furious mob. Even the Egyptian king's own officials begged the crowd to let it go. It didn't work. This was documented by a Greek historian who saw it happen with his own eyes. Not even fear of Rome itself was enough to save him. One accident, one cat, and an international incident. That's how serious this was. Historians say people would even risk their own safety in a house fire, just to save the cat first. All of this devotion had one true epicenter, the city of Bubastis, literally, House of Bastet. Once a year, an enormous festival happened here. People arrived by boat from all over Egypt. A Greek historian estimated up to 700,000 people attended in a single year. 700,000. In the ancient world, that's an almost unimaginable crowd. On the way there, boats were full of music, dancing, and shouting between passing crowds. And according to the same historian, more wine was consumed at this festival than the rest of the year combined. Basically ancient Egypt's biggest party of the year. All in honor of a cat goddess. But underneath all the celebration, everyone was there for the same real reason. To buy a mummified cat and offer it to the goddess as a prayer. 700,000 people, all wanting the same offering. That demand had to be met somehow. Archaeologists found evidence of actual breeding operations. Cats raised specifically for this, which means most of these cats weren't beloved pets who died of old age. Studies show many were deliberately killed young just to meet demand from that one festival. Across all of Egypt's history, researchers now estimate up to 70 million animal mummies were made. 70 million. That's not religion anymore. That's mass production. Whole workshops existed just to embalm and wrap these offerings one after another, non-stop. And every single one of them was sold. This was a real economy, running on faith. So what did it actually take to make one of these mummies properly? First, the body was packed completely in a drying salt called natron. It stayed buried in that salt for up to 40 days, just to fully dry out. Then came a coating of tree resin to help seal everything in place. The wrapping itself started at the paws, strip by strip, before moving up the whole body. Skilled embalmers even wove the bandages into decorative diamond and herringbone patterns. A fancier pattern meant a fancier offering. This was genuinely a craft, not just a chore. So if doing it properly took 40 days and real skill, imagine the shortcuts under that much demand. Modern scientists decided to actually look inside these bundles and check, using CT scans and X-rays, without ever unwrapping a single bandage, and a huge number of them were not what they claimed to be. Some mummies had no animal in them at all. Just mud, sticks, reeds, even eggshells. People were praying to a bundle of straw and calling it sacred. One mummy scanned by researchers held pieces from 3 different cats, combined into one bundle. In one major study of hundreds of animal mummies, roughly a third contained no animal remains at all. A third, out of tens of millions. So who was faking these, and why did nobody stop them? Theory 1, it was a scam. Priests cutting corners to keep up with impossible demand. 70 million real cats is a lot to breed and kill. faking a few was much easier, and pilgrims never unwrapped their offering to check. There was simply no way to catch it, but Theory 2 says something different. It wasn't fraud, it was symbolism. Materials that touched a real cat, even scraps of fur or bone, were still considered sacred. So maybe it wasn't a lie. Maybe the symbol mattered more than the physical body. Honestly, historians still argue about this one. There's no final answer even today. Which one do you believe? A scam or a sacred shortcut? Let me know. And cats weren't even alone in this. It happened to a lot of other animals too. Dogs were mummified for the jackal god Anubis, guardian of the dead. Ibis birds were mummified by the millions for Thoth, god of wisdom and writing. Crocodiles were mummified too, honoring the god Sobek. Even baboons were mummified, linked to Thoth as well, standing in for the moon. The sacred Apis bull got the most elaborate mummification of any animal in Egypt. Basically, if a god had an animal, that animal got mummified. By the millions. Some catacombs held so many mummies, archaeologists are still cataloging them today. Take Saqqara, a catacomb built around 400 BC with a tunnel longer than 5 football fields. When archaeologists finally counted everything inside in 2015, the number was staggering. Around 8 million mummified dogs in one single catacomb dedicated to Anubis. 8 million. And many of those puppies were only hours or days old when they died. Researchers believe this points to something like ancient puppy farms, bred purely for this purpose. So this wasn't just a cat problem or an Egypt-only problem. It followed all the way into the 1800s. A farmer in Middle Egypt literally fell through the ground into a catacomb packed with cat mummies. Someone had a very practical idea. Ship the mummies to England and sell them as fertilizer. The ship arrived in Liverpool carrying about 19.5 tons of mummies. One sailor reached into a sack expecting rubble and pulled out a perfectly wrapped cat. That single shipment held an estimated 180,000 mummified cats. 180,000. Sacred, once forbidden to harm animals, sailing in on one boat. The crew auctioned the best-looking mummies right there on the dock like sacks of potatoes. Local farmers loaded the rest into carts and hauled them straight to their fields. 3,000 years of sacred history plowed straight into English farmland. From sacred goddess offering to scientific mystery to literal plant food. Quite a journey. A few of these mummies survived that fertilizer fate and ended up in museums instead. Today, those same scraps that were once treated as waste are studied as priceless data. Whole modern research projects now exist just to scan and catalog thousands of these animal mummies. Every scan tells us more about diet, disease, and daily life in ancient Egypt. Ironically, even the fake mummies turned out to be useful. They tell us just as much about faith as biology. And honestly, not much has changed about how we feel about cats. Billions of cat videos watched every single year. Just a different kind of offering. 3,000 years later, cats are still running the show. They just know it a bit better now. So next time your cat knocks something off the table without a hint of remorse, just remember, people once risked their lives for that same attitude. It's basically tradition. And somewhere out there, a fake mummy made of mud and sticks is still fooling someone in a museum drawer. 3,000 years of cats quietly running the world. See you in the next one.